Retro games are a really popular subset of the gaming genre. There are a lot of collectors that spend a lot of money to collect for old systems as they're currently out of print. That being said, when I grew up, one of my first ever gaming consoles was the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES for short. As it was the very first gaming system I ever played on, I thought today I would take a look at all the games we had for that system and show you this collection. A big thank you to my nephew who helped film some of this. And with that out of the way, let's get started with Aladdin. So this game's actually available on modern consoles. It's a platformer. Very basic. You play as Aladdin and you go through different areas that are all in the movie. It's a really fun game and I would recommend it if you do like platforming. The next game is also available on modern consoles and that one is The Lion King. Again, another platformer. You play as Simba and you go through different levels like you would be playing through the movie. Now onto another Disney game that actually never got a remaster or anything like that as the previous two did, and that is Pinocchio. Again, it's another game where you go through different scenes from the movie and it has basic platforming as the main game mechanic. Moving on to some other classic SNES games, and that is Donkey Kong 1, 2 and 3. You can see them here. So we have Donkey Kong 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, and Donkey Kong Country 3. Now, out of these three, the one I have definitely played the most is the original Donkey Kong Country. And the one thing that is best about these games is the soundtrack. Donkey Kong has one of the best soundtracks in gaming, and I don't think anybody would argue with that fact. It is amazing, it's great, it's fun to listen to, and the songs really go with each level. If you've never played a Donkey Kong Country game, again, it is a platformer. You go generally left to right on the screen and complete the levels, collect bananas, collect different DK letters, Donkey Kong letters, and also throughout different levels there are different things like the minecart levels where you're in a cart that goes along. There's also a rhino that occasionally you jump on and ride through levels, so there's fun little things that mixes it up. Now the first one you play as Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong can assist you. The second one is Diddy Kong's Quest. So you play as Diddy Kong, and then you have Dixie Kong assisting Diddy Kong in the second one. And the third one is Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, and you're back with Dixie Kong and Donkey Kong in the third one. Worthwhile games, recommend playing them if you do get a chance to. Moving on to one of the more unique games in the collection, and that is King Arthur's World. This game is a side-scrolling strategy game. It's the best way I can describe it. It's very unique to play, and basically you control an army and you fight against other armies because you're the King Arthur. I don't remember too much. It has been a while since I've played it, but I do remember having fun with this one. Next up we have The Adventures of Mighty Max. So this is another side-scrolling action game, adventure game, where you will travel through 7 different worlds on your journey or your quest. I don't remember too much of it, so I don't really have much to say. Moving on to a couple of games in the collection that I haven't played before, which is Primal Rage. If you've played this one and it's any good, let me know. Maybe I will get out the system and try this one. Also, I have 90 Minutes European Prime Goal, which is a football or soccer game, depending on where you're from and what you call it. Again, I'm not really into sports games too much, so I haven't played that one. These next games I definitely have played, and that is Super Mario All-Stars, which is a classic retro Mario game, which is platforming. You've got Mario, you've got Luigi, you travel through different areas, different games, I guess. So it comes with Super Mario 3, Super Mario 2, Super Mario Brothers, and the Lost Levels. So those are all on the one game, and it's really fun. If you haven't played Retro Mario, I definitely recommend it. Although Retro Mario is a bit harder than Modern Mario because you don't have any of those modern conveniences like infinite lives. And the other one is the Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. This one I played a lot. I really like Yoshi. I think Yoshi is one of the cutest Mario characters. So this game is an old school platformer. You have Baby Mario who can ride Yoshi. Yoshi's got all their classic attacks like using its tongue, but also it can make eggs and then you can throw the eggs at enemies. So yeah, a lot of fun to be had with this one. Slightly easier than the original Mario platformers. So if you are looking for a retro platformer, but it's a bit more forgiving, I would recommend Yoshi's Island. Moving on to the car games in this collection. So we have Stunt Race FX, Top Gear 3000, and Micro Machines. Micro Machines was the game that I played the most. This one you play as basically toy cars, think like Hot Wheels. So you're like shrunk down and small. Maybe it's because I played this when I was growing up, so the toy cars were more appealing than real cars at that point. So yeah, that's the one I played the most. It's just a bit of fun. It's like an arcade type of racing game compared to like a proper Gran Turismo or something like that. The next games in this collection are the superhero games. So we have Ultraman, and then we have Spider-Man and the X-Men. So a crossover game with Spider-Man and X-Men. I played Spider-Man more. Again, it's like a platformer type games. A lot of these games on the NES are platformers. It's just an old system. Retro games couldn't do as much as modern games, so platformers seem to be one of those genres that kept popping up, that and racing games. So you'll notice a trend here with a lot of these games. Going back to Disney, because I missed one of these games earlier in the video, and that is the Jungle Book. You can play this one again on modern systems now with the remake or remaster, so I'd recommend that than the original. But again, it is a platformer. You play as Mowgli and you go through scenes from the Jungle Book movie. The next game in this collection is The Prince of Persia 2. So The Prince of Persia has had a bit of a resurgence recently with multiple games releasing and multiple to come in the future. So that's really exciting, but this is one of the original Prince of Persia games that you could play back in the day. Again, it is a platformer. Next up, we're going over the Star Wars games, starting with Super Star Wars. So this game is actually pretty cool. It is an action video game, but it's got a few neat features like sections with the land speeder where you're in the land speeder, as well as lightsaber sections and everything you would expect from a Star Wars game. The next Star Wars game is The Empire Strikes Back. You can see here. So this game is like a run and gun action game. You play as Luke Skywalker and you go through the levels, and basically you have a lightsaber and you use that to deflect and hit enemies. So it's again a lot of platforming in these games, but it does skew a little bit more to that run and gun style of game. This next one is a lot of fun, and that is Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose. So this is this one here. It's from Konami and it is a side-scrolling action game, but it's got a lot of different variety. It's got a good story behind it, and all around it is just a lot of fun to play. If you've never played it, if you have a Super Nintendo Entertainment System, I recommend picking this one if you can find it. You can find loose copies fairly cheap as well, so it's not the most popular game out there, but one I can definitely recommend. Next up we have Super BC Kid. This is one I have played and it is fun. It's again a platformer type game where you play as Super BC Kid, and part of Super BC Kid is that I remember he gets a giant head at one point. I'll have to look that up to double check. It's a very cartoony style game, so one to play if you like that style of video game, but again it is just a basic platformer. Then we move to Jurassic Park, another game that has been re-released on modern consoles, and in this one you play in Jurassic Park, so there's dinosaurs. It's more like a survival game than anything, so you can only pick up certain amounts of ammo, otherwise you just have this like electric taser which doesn't do nearly enough damage, especially if you have like a raptor or a big dinosaur chasing you down. Other than that, it is a very basic game. Premise is to escape and survive in Jurassic Park. Now, these last games are the ones I played the most throughout my childhood on the system, and are the games that I look back most fondly on, starting with Turtles in Time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, another Konami game, a classic, Turtles. It's a beat 'em up. I always played as Michelangelo because he has the nunchucks and I thought that was cool. So a great game, and you can pick it up on modern consoles now because they've re-released and packaged together a bunch of the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. So Konami definitely did us a favour with that one. Then we have Mickey Mania. So a platformer where you play as Mickey Mouse, obviously. Again, I loved Mickey Mouse when I was growing up, and this is just cartoon stylized retro Mickey Mouse. We then have Goof Troop. So this one you play as Goofy and his nephew, who I cannot remember their name right now, but I used to play this a lot with my brother because it is 2-player local co-op, and it's like an action game but also a bit of a puzzle game, so there's a lot of environmental puzzles to solve in the game to continue on and move forward. You have things like digging for treasure and stuff like that, so it's a fun game and worthwhile if you like Goofy and those characters. Which brings me to the final game, my favourite game as a child, and that is another Mickey Mouse game, but this is Circus Mystery. So The Great Circus Mystery, starring Mickey and Minnie. And I always played as Minnie Mouse. Again, it is 2-player local co-op. And the fun thing about this is you get this like vacuum, similar to like Luigi's Mansion or something like that, where you can suck up ghosts and things like that because a lot of the enemies happen to be ghosts. And yeah, it's fun. It's a platformer. It's not very long, but it's again the cartoony style, very vibrant, colourful, not too difficult as well. And I got to play as Minnie Mouse, so what more could a little girl want? So thank you for watching. What do you think of this Super Nintendo Entertainment System collection? Do you have a retro gaming collection? Let me know down below in the comments if you do. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.